Beloved, today is not just any ordinary day. Today, God has set aside a surprise for you, a blessing that will shake your world, that will defy human understanding. This is the day He wants to show up in your life in ways you never imagined. Listen carefully. God's favor is not delayed. It is simply being prepared for the perfect moment to meet you. Right now, I want you to close your eyes and open your heart. I want you to speak to the heavens with bold faith. Say in your heart, Lord, I am ready for the blessing you have prepared for me. I am expecting a surprise that will change my life. Beloved, today I want to speak to your heart about the incredible reality that God is ready to surprise you with a blessing. There are moments in life when we feel stuck, when it seems like nothing is moving, when the days are heavy and the nights seem endless. Yet, it is in those very moments that God is preparing to move in ways that will leave you in awe. The Bible tells us that the Lord is faithful and that His plans are always good. He's a God who delights in surprising His children, not just with ordinary blessings, but with those that exceed our understanding. You may not see it now. You may not feel it yet. Circumstances may appear to be against you. But hear this, your breakthrough, your divine turn, your unexpected miracle is already being orchestrated in the spirit realm. Expectation is not mere hope. Expectation is a confident anticipation of what God has promised. It is the posture of a heart that refuses to settle for mediocrity, a heart that believes the impossible is possible. Today, I want you to understand that expecting God's blessing is not passive. It is active, intentional, and full of faith. You must align your mind, your heart, and your spirit to anticipate the move of God. Begin to see with your spiritual eyes the blessings that are coming. Visualize them, speak them over your life, and thank God for them even before they manifest. When you do this, you are signaling to heaven that you are ready to receive. And when heaven is ready, miracles cannot be delayed. Many times people do not receive the blessings of God simply because they are not expecting them. They pray for weeks, months, even years, yet their hearts are clouded with doubt. They ask, but they do not believe. They seek, but their minds are distracted by fear. They knock, but their hands are not lifted in faith. Beloved, expectation is the secret that unlocks the door to supernatural blessings. It is the key that opens the way for God's surprises. When you expect God to act, you position yourself to recognize His fingerprints. You begin to notice opportunities, doors, and encounters that others pass by without realizing they are divine. God's surprises often come when we least anticipate them. They are not always the result of our timing or planning. Sometimes we must learn to trust in His timing. There is a divine appointment for every blessing, and when the time is right, it will manifest suddenly. That promotion you've been praying for, the relationship you've been seeking, the financial breakthrough that seems impossible. All of these can come in ways that defy human logic. You may not have planned it, but God's plans are higher than your plans, and His ways are beyond your understanding. Expectation requires patience. It requires a heart that remains steadfast even when the waiting seems unbearable. It requires a spirit that trusts in the unseen and believes in the promises of God. When you wait with expectation, you are aligning yourself with God's purpose. You are saying, Lord, I believe that what you have prepared for me is better than I can imagine, and I am ready to receive it. This is the posture that draws God's blessings. It is important to understand that a surprise blessing is often more than just a material gain. God's blessings transform. They change our hearts, our perspectives, and our destinies. A surprise blessing can restore broken relationships, heal a wounded spirit, provide financial abundance, open doors of opportunity, and usher in peace that surpasses understanding. When God surprises you, it is not just for your benefit. It is also to display His glory and power. Your life becomes a testimony of His goodness, a living proof that the God you serve is faithful and true. Beloved, do not limit God by your imagination. Do not measure His favor by what you can see. His blessings are boundless, immeasurable, and unexpected. When you expect God to act, you are stepping into the reality of His promises. You are telling the heavens that your faith is ready, your heart is open, and your spirit is willing to receive. Expectation is not just believing that something good will happen, it is believing that something extraordinary is already on its way. So today, I encourage you to lift your eyes, lift your hands, and lift your heart. Speak to the mountains in your life and declare that they will be moved. Say in faith, Lord, I expect your blessing. I expect the miracle you have promised. I believe that today my life will be changed in ways I cannot even imagine. As you do this, you are aligning yourself with the supernatural. You are opening the door for heaven to intervene in your life. You are stepping into a day of divine surprises, a day of favor, a day of breakthrough, a day when the unexpected becomes your reality. Expectation is the seed of faith. Plant it in your heart, water it with prayer, and watch as God brings forth a harvest of blessings that will astonish you. Trust that God's timing is perfect, His love is unfailing, and His ability to bless you exceeds anything you could ever hope for. Today, expect the unexpected. Today, believe in the impossible. Today, prepare to be amazed, for God is about to surprise you with a blessing that will change your life forever. Beloved, today I want to speak to your heart about faith. The kind of faith that rises above every circumstance, that refuses to be shaken by the storms of life, and that boldly declares victory even before the evidence appears. Faith is not a feeling, it is a choice. It is a deliberate act of trusting in God when everything around you seems to say otherwise. Life will place mountains before you, problems that appear insurmountable, and situations that seem hopeless. Yet the measure of your life is not determined by what surrounds you, but by the faith that resides within you. You see, it is in the crucible of difficulty that faith is refined, strengthened, and proven true. Faith over circumstances is the secret that turns trials into triumphs. Many people pray, yet they falter at the first sign of adversity. They ask for miracle, yet their minds are overwhelmed by worry and fear. But faith does not look at the natural, it looks at the supernatural. It refuses to be defined by the present moment and instead focuses on the promises of God. Beloved, your circumstances do not dictate your destiny, your faith does. When you choose to believe, even when the evidence is absent, you step into the realm of divine possibilities. Consider the life of someone who faced impossible odds yet prevailed through faith. The waters of doubt may rise, the winds of confusion may blow, but faith holds fast to the assurance that God is at work behind the scenes. Faith sees beyond the immediate situation. It is the lens through which the invisible becomes visible, the unseen becomes tangible, and the impossible becomes possible. When faith governs your perspective, obstacles transform into opportunities, challenges become lessons, and delays are turned into divine preparation. Faith over circumstances is not passive, it is active. It is expressed through prayer, through words of declaration, and through steadfast action. When the storm rages, faith speaks peace. When the finances are low, faith declares provision. When relationships seem broken, faith believes in restoration. It is a refusal to let fear, doubt, or disappointment control your spirit. Beloved, faith is the force that pulls the miraculous out of the spiritual realm and into your reality. It is the unseen power that moves mountains, unlocks doors, and changes destinies. You may ask, how do I maintain faith when everything seems against me? The answer is simple, yet profound. Focus on the character and promises of God, not on your problems. Remind yourself daily that he who promised is faithful. Speak his word over your life. Meditate on his goodness. Let hope rise in your heart. Faith is nurtured by the word of God, strengthened through prayer, and exercised in obedience. The moment you choose to trust God more than your circumstances, you shift from being a victim of life to a victor in his name. Understand this: circumstances are temporary, but faith is eternal. The storms will pass, the trials will end, and the difficulties will fade. But the faith you cultivate in the midst of adversity will remain, producing fruit in your life for years to come. Faith opens the door for God's intervention. Faith invites his miracles. Faith positions you to receive the blessings that are already prepared in heaven. It is the bridge between the natural and the supernatural, between limitation and abundance, between despair and divine breakthrough. Beloved, do not let your eyes be enslaved by what you see. Do not let the weight of the problem overwhelm the power of your God. When you lift your eyes in faith, you are acknowledging that God is bigger than any situation, stronger than any challenge, and more faithful than your fears. Faith over circumstances requires courage. It requires a heart willing to step forward even when the path is unclear. But I assure you, the steps you take in faith are steps into victory. Today, I want you to declare over your life that no situation, no challenge, no delay, and no obstacle will have the final word. Speak life over your problems. Say in your heart, I will trust God in this storm. I will believe in his promises. I will not be moved by what I see, for my faith is anchored in the one who cannot fail. Let your faith rise above every fear, every doubt, and every limitation. Let it break the chains that the enemy has tried to place on your life. Let it attract supernatural intervention and open doors that human hands cannot open. Faith over circumstances also means embracing patience. You may not see the immediate results of your trust, but the unseen God is working on your behalf. He is moving pieces in the spiritual realm, aligning resources, sending help, and preparing your breakthrough. When your heart remains steadfast in faith, you are already walking in victory even before the manifestation appears. Every delay is a setup for a greater display of God's power. Every challenge is a stage for your faith to shine. Beloved, I pray for you today that your faith will rise above every limitation, that it will overshadow every fear, that it will silence every doubt. May you stand firm in the assurance that God is with you, working on your behalf and turning every circumstance into a platform for your miracle. Let faith govern your thoughts, your words, and your actions. Let it propel you beyond the impossible. Trust in God with all your heart. Lean not on what you see, and watch as the impossible bends to the power of your belief. Today, let faith rise. Today, let hope dominate. Today, let belief overpower doubt. Let your faith over every circumstance be the key that unlocks supernatural breakthrough. Believe it, declare it, and expect it. For the God who is faithful will never fail you, and your victory is already on its way. Beloved, today I want to speak to you about the importance of preparation for divine favor. Many people pray for blessings, breakthroughs, and miracles, yet they fail to understand that God's favor often comes to those who are ready to receive it. Divine favor is not random, it is purposeful. It is the outpouring of God's grace that meets a heart, a life, and a spirit that is prepared. God's blessings are not just gifts, they are a testimony of his glory, and they require readiness, alignment, and intentional positioning. The question we must ask ourselves is this: are we prepared for the favor God is about to release into our lives? Preparation begins in the heart. Your inner life, your thoughts, your motives, and your character are all the soil in which God's favor grows. If the soil of your heart is hardened by unforgiveness, pride, or disobedience, then blessings may come, but they will not last. But when your heart is soft, humble, and aligned with God's will, favor flows freely. The Lord looks at your spirit, He responds to the openness of your heart. The more you cultivate integrity, obedience, and humility, the more you position yourself to receive His blessings. You see, preparation is not about your effort alone. It is about creating a vessel that is worthy and ready for divine overflow. Preparation also involves expectation and faith. You cannot receive favor if your heart is filled with doubt or fear. God's favor requires a mindset that believes in the unseen, trusts in His timing, and expects the miraculous. As you prepare, speak life over your situation. Declare that you are ready for the doors God is about to open. Align your thoughts with His promises. Train your spirit to recognize opportunity when it appears, and do not shrink back in the face of challenges. Divine favor often comes suddenly, unexpectedly, and even shockingly. When your heart is prepared, you will recognize it and embrace it without hesitation. Another element of preparation is action. God's favor rarely comes to those who remain stagnant. The favor of God responds to diligence, commitment, and a willingness to step forward. It is not enough to pray and hope. You must also walk in the responsibilities, talents, and opportunities God has already given you. Every small effort, every act of obedience, every demonstration of faithfulness is a preparation for something greater. The invisible gears of divine favor are turning in response to your readiness. And when the time comes, everything will align perfectly. Preparation also means cultivating patience. Sometimes God's favor seems delayed, but delays are not denials. There are periods in which your character is being refined, your heart is being aligned, and your vision is being sharpened. A farmer does not expect to harvest the moment he plants the seed. He waters, tends, and waits for the season. In the same way, your preparation is about enduring faithfully, trusting quietly, and staying aligned with God's purpose, even when immediate results are not visible. Patience is the soil in which favor matures, and those who endure faithfully will see God's hand move with precision and power. Spiritual sensitivity is another key aspect of preparation. Divine favor is often accompanied by opportunities, people, and moments that require discernment. If your heart is not attuned to God's voice, you may miss the blessings that are right in front of you. Prayer, meditation on His word, and constant communion with God sharpen your spiritual senses, allowing you to recognize and respond to favor the moment it appears. Preparation is not just about being ready. It is about being alert, aware, and responsive to the movement of God in your life. Preparation for divine favor also involves a life of generosity and kindness. The Bible teaches that the merciful obtain mercy and the generous are favored. When you cultivate a spirit of giving, when you bless others, when you sow seeds of kindness, you create channels through which God's blessings can flow. Favor often multiplies in a life that is willing to give and serve. The prepared heart is the generous heart, and God delights in releasing His blessings to those who reflect His nature in their own lives. Beloved, understand this. God's favor is more than just luck or chance. It is the strategic supernatural intervention of heaven in your life, and it meets those who are ready to receive it. Preparation is the act of aligning your heart, mind, and spirit with God's purpose. It is choosing to live in obedience, cultivate patience, exercise faith, and develop sensitivity to His leading. The more prepared you are, the greater the blessing that God can release into your life. Today, I want to declare over your life that God is aligning circumstances, people, opportunities, and resources in your favor. He is preparing a surprise that will exceed your imagination. Your heart is being readied, your spirit is being sharpened, and your life is being positioned for divine overflow. Receive this truth with expectancy. Open your heart to His guidance. Step into obedience and diligence. Walk with patience and faith, and watch as the favor of God meets you in the most unexpected, miraculous, and life-transforming ways. Beloved, preparation is not passive. It is active, intentional, and deliberate. It is the fertile ground in which God's blessings take root and flourish. As you prepare, as you align, as you position yourself, the supernatural favor of God will manifest. Today, let your heart say, I am ready. I am prepared. I am positioned to receive the blessing God has already prepared for me. Expect it, believe it, and embrace it. For your moment of divine favor is at hand, and it will surprise you beyond measure. Beloved, today I want to speak to you about the power of gratitude. Gratitude is more than just saying thank you for what you have. It is a lifestyle, a posture of the heart, and a spiritual key that opens doors to divine favor and blessings. When you learn to give thanks in all circumstances, even when life seems difficult, you tap into a supernatural force that moves heaven on your behalf. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is lacking to what has already been given. It transforms your perspective, illuminates your heart, and positions you to receive more from God than you could ever imagine. Many people pray for blessings but forget to thank God for the little things that He has already done. They focus on what is missing, what has gone wrong, or what seems delayed, and in doing so they limit the flow of favor in their lives. Beloved, God is not limited by our understanding, but He delights in hearts that recognize His goodness. Gratitude creates alignment between your spirit and God's will. It opens your eyes to the invisible hand of God that is working in your life, even in ways you do not yet see. When you thank God for what you have, you are acknowledging His faithfulness. And when you acknowledge His faithfulness, you invite His favor to multiply in your life. Gratitude is a spiritual law. Just as faith activates the supernatural, thankfulness activates blessing. The more you cultivate a heart of gratitude, the more you position yourself to experience God's abundant provision. A grateful heart is receptive. It does not push away or resist. It welcomes, it receives, and it celebrates. Gratitude turns what seems ordinary into extraordinary, what seems delayed into on time, and what seems impossible into evidence of God's intervention. It is the seed that produces joy, peace, and supernatural increase. Consider the power of thanksgiving in the midst of difficulty. When you thank God during a trial, when you lift your voice in praise while facing challenges, you are demonstrating faith that goes beyond circumstances. Gratitude becomes an act of worship and a declaration of trust. It tells heaven that you believe God is greater than your problem, stronger than your enemy, and more faithful than your fears. In that moment, your heart is lifted above the natural, and the supernatural begins to take shape. Blessings that may have been delayed or hidden now start to manifest, and favor flows where it could not have gone before. Gratitude also protects your heart. It guards against bitterness, envy, and negativity that can easily creep in when you focus on what you do not have. A thankful heart is a peaceful heart, a content heart, and a heart that attracts divine attention. God's favor, F10 rests on those who walk humbly and thankfully before Him. When your life is marked by gratitude, doors of opportunity open, relationships are restored, finances are multiplied, and breakthroughs become inevitable. The enemy may try to discourage you, but gratitude positions you to see the hand of God moving on your behalf, even when the world seems against you. Giving thanks should not only be reserved for the big victories, but also for the small, often unnoticed moments. Every breath you take, every sunrise, every opportunity to love, every friendship, every provision is a reason to be grateful. When you cultivate the habit of thanksgiving, you begin to recognize that your life is filled with countless blessings. This awareness fuels expectation and strengthens your faith. A heart that is grateful expects more from God because it knows him to be faithful. It believes that if he has been good so far, he will continue to be good and in greater measure than ever before. Gratitude also multiplies what you already have. The principle is simple yet profound. When you are thankful for what is in your hand, God adds more. A seed of appreciation grows into a harvest of abundance. A life of thanksgiving attracts favor, opens doors that were previously closed, and positions you for supernatural increase. When you begin each day thanking God for what he has done, even before your prayer requests are answered, you are inviting his miraculous intervention. Gratitude is a catalyst for blessings, a magnet for favor, and a declaration that you trust God to fulfill his promises. Beloved, today I want to declare over your life that a spirit of gratitude will arise in you, that you will no longer focus on what is lacking or incomplete, that your heart will overflow with thanksgiving for both the seen and unseen blessings in your life. Let gratitude be your constant companion, your daily practice, and your spiritual posture. As you give thanks, watch how doors open, problems are solved, relationships are restored, and favor manifests in ways you never expected. Your grateful heart will position you to receive a surprise blessing today, and it will multiply every good thing that is already on its way. Lift your voice and your heart in praise. Thank God for what he has already done and anticipate the greater things he is about to do. Declare, Lord, I am thankful for every blessing, every opportunity, and every provision. I thank you for what is seen and unseen. I thank you for your favor, your protection, and your love. I am ready to receive the blessings you have prepared for me. Beloved, as you thank God in faith, expect the impossible, believe the unbelievable, and receive the extraordinary. For a heart of gratitude invites divine blessings that surpass imagination. Beloved, today I want to speak to your heart about the power of persistence in prayer. Prayer is not just a ritual or a casual conversation. It is the lifeline between you and God, that DGE, that connects the natural to the supernatural, and the channel through which heaven moves to impact your life. Yet many people give up too soon. They pray for days, weeks, or months, but the moment they do not see immediate results, discouragement sets in, doubt arises, and their hearts grow weary. Persistence in prayer is the secret that turns delays into breakthroughs, impossibilities into miracles, and ordinary moments into divine encounters. Prayer is not about repetition for the sake of repetition. It is about a heart that refuses to quit, a spirit that refuses to be silent, and a faith that refuses to be shaken. When you persist in prayer, you are telling heaven that you believe God is faithful, that his promises are true, and that no obstacle can prevent his will from manifesting in your life. Persistence is the demonstration of your faith, and faith is what moves mountains, opens doors, and unleashes the miraculous. Beloved, the Bible shows us countless examples of those who prayed persistently and saw God answer in ways that were impossible to explain. They did not give up at the first delay or faint when the answer seemed far away. They kept lifting their voices, kept believing, and kept trusting that God's timing was perfect. When you pray persistently, you align your spirit with God's purpose. You cultivate patience and trust, and you position yourself to receive his timing, which is always perfect. Many times, God does not answer immediately because he is orchestrating something greater than what you are asking for. He is setting into motion events, people, and circumstances that will multiply your blessing, and persistence is what keeps you connected to him while his plan unfolds. Beloved, do not despise the waiting. Do not ignore the silence, and do not grow weary in well-doing. Your persistent prayer is the seed that is being watered for a future harvest. Persistence in prayer is also about faith that refuses to be shaken by circumstances. There will be moments when it feels like nothing is happening, when the situation seems impossible, and when every human reasoning tells you to give up. But prayer that persists sees beyond the natural. It refuses to be governed by what is visible and focuses instead on the promises of God. It declares life where there is death, hope where there is despair, and provision where there is lack. Every prayer you lift in faith with persistence is a declaration that you trust in the power of the unseen, the sovereignty of God, and the certainty of His word. Another element of persistent prayer is consistency. God honors faithfulness, and He delights in those who show commitment to communion with Him. It is not about the length of your prayer, but the depth of your heart. Even a short prayer, when prayed persistently with sincerity and expectation, can move heaven. The key is not to grow faint or weary, but to continue knocking, seeking, and asking until the answer comes. Remember God's timing. G is always perfect, and He will not fail to respond to a heart that refuses to give up. Persistence in prayer also shapes your character. It teaches patience, humility, dependence, and endurance. It transforms a casual believer into a spiritual warrior, one who is ready to face challenges with faith and courage. Prayer is not just about receiving. It is also about becoming the person God wants you to be, so that you can handle the blessing when it comes. Your persistence prepares you for the responsibility, the wisdom, and the maturity needed to fully embrace God's miraculous intervention in your life. Beloved, understand that prayer is powerful because it connects you directly to the source of all power, God Himself. When you refuse to stop praying, when you refuse to let discouragement win, and when you refuse to quit in the face of challenges, you are activating the supernatural. Persistent prayer draws the favor of heaven into your life. It brings clarity to confusion, provision to lack, healing to the sick, restoration to the broken, and victory to the oppressed. It is not the strength of your voice or the eloquence of your words that makes prayer effective. It is the perseverance of your heart and the sincerity of your faith. Today, I want to declare over your life that your persistent prayers will not be in vain. Every tear you have shed, every groan of your heart, every midnight cry, and every heartfelt plea is being heard. Heaven is responding to your consistency, your dedication, and your unwavering trust. God is moving on your behalf, orchestrating breakthroughs that will astonish you. Your persistence has positioned you for supernatural intervention. Do not give up now. Keep praying, keep believing, keep trusting, keep knocking, keep seeking. The answer is closer than you think, and the manifestation of your breakthrough will come suddenly, unexpectedly, and gloriously. Beloved, lift your voice and declare, Lord, I will not grow weary. I will not give up. I will continue to pray, to believe, and to expect. I trust your timing, your wisdom, and your power. I know that my persistent prayer is moving mountains, opening doors, and bringing my breakthrough. I am ready to receive the blessing you have prepared for me. Let this be the posture of your heart, the declaration of your spirit, and the lifestyle of your faith. For persistence in prayer is the key that unlocks the miraculous, the extraordinary, and the unexpected blessings of God. Beloved, today I want to speak to your heart about the mystery and the majesty of God's timing versus human timing. One of the greatest struggles many believers face is learning to trust that God operates on a timeline far beyond our comprehension. We plan, we strategize, we set goals, and we grow anxious when results do not come according to our schedule. Yet, God is never early and He is never late. His timing is perfect, and it always aligns with His will, His purpose, and His glory. The key is learning to trust Him, to wait faithfully, and to believe that what He has promised will come to pass in the exact moment He intends. Many times we grow impatient because we compare God's timing with our own expectations. We ask, why is this delayed? Or why hasn't this happened yet? But beloved, human timing is limited, constrained by circumstances, understanding, and perception. God's timing is infinite, unbounded, and flawless. He sees the beginning from the end, the unseen from the visible, and the potential in every situation. What seems late to us is often perfectly on time in the spiritual realm. Delays are not denials, and waiting periods are not punishments. They are opportunities for God to prepare the environment, shape your character, and align resources so that when the blessing comes, it comes in full measure and with maximum impact. When we understand God's timing, we begin to release anxiety and fear. We no longer rush, panic, or make hasty decisions out of desperation. Instead, we trust that the delay is strategic. It is the divine calibration of our lives. Every delay, every setback, and every moment of waiting is a divine pause designed to bring about a greater blessing. Perhaps God is protecting you from something that is not yet ready for your life, preparing you for a level of responsibility, or positioning you for a season of abundance that will surpass your imagination. Human timing often leads to frustration, disappointment, and sometimes wrong decisions. When we act ahead of God, we may settle for less than what He has planned, or we may miss the fullness of His blessing. Beloved, the difference between human timing and God's timing is the difference between ordinary results and extraordinary outcomes. God's timing ensures that every detail of your life aligns perfectly with His plan. It guarantees that the blessing is not only received but sustained. While human timing may produce quick solutions, God's timing produces lasting success, complete restoration, and abundant joy. Faith is the bridge between human impatience and divine timing. Faith teaches us to wait without anxiety, to trust without seeing, and to believe without evidence. When your faith governs your response to delays, you create space for God's perfect timing to unfold. You begin to understand that the process is as important as the outcome. Every trial, every challenge, and every season of waiting is a classroom where God is teaching patience, perseverance, and dependence on Him. The longer you wait faithfully, the more prepared you are to receive the blessing fully and without compromise. Beloved, God's timing often requires alignment. Sometimes the blessing is ready, but your heart, mind, or spirit must catch up. Sometimes doors are open, but you must walk through them with wisdom and obedience. And sometimes the resources are available, but your faith and readiness must be proven. Waiting on God is not passive, it is active preparation. It is the cultivation of readiness, the sharpening of discernment, and the strengthening of your character, so that when the moment comes, you are fully equipped to embrace the divine favor. The beauty of God's timing is that it always maximizes impact. What may seem like a small opportunity in the natural becomes a life-changing miracle in the spiritual realm. God's timing ensures that everything happens in a way that glorifies Him and blesses you abundantly. The delay you have endured is not wasted time. It is a season of preparation, alignment, and divine orchestration. When you learn to trust in His timing, you begin to see life from a heavenly perspective. You understand that God's ways are higher than your ways, and His thoughts are higher than your thoughts. What He promises, He fulfills. And He fulfills it in the exact moment when the fullness of His plan can be realized. Beloved, today I want to declare over your life that you will no longer be enslaved by impatience. You will trust God's timing, even when the answer seems delayed. Every prayer, every effort, every act of faith is being perfectly timed in heaven. You are not early, you are not late. You are in God's perfect timing. The blessings, the breakthroughs, the divine surprises He has promised you will manifest at the exact moment, in the exact way, and with the exact impact needed to glorify his name and transform your life. Lift your heart and say, Lord, I trust your timing. I believe that you are never early. Why? Never late and always perfect. I will wait faithfully, walk patiently, and trust fully, knowing that your timing will bring the blessing, the breakthrough, and the favor that you have prepared for me. I receive it now in faith, knowing it will manifest in your perfect season. Beloved, when you live in alignment with God's timing, you step into a life of peace, expectation, and supernatural favor. Your breakthrough is not delayed, it is being prepared. Your blessing is not missing, it is arriving in God's perfect time. Beloved, today I want to speak to your heart about spiritual receptivity, the attitude and posture of being fully open to the move of God in your life. Spiritual receptivity is the key that allows divine blessings, guidance, and breakthroughs to flow unhindered. Many believers pray, seek, and expect miracles, yet they remain closed, distracted, or resistant to the ways God wants to work. God has blessings, favor, and revelations that are ready to be poured out upon you. But if your heart, mind, and spirit are not receptive, they will pass by unnoticed. To receive God's best, you must cultivate a heart that is sensitive, attentive, and ready to embrace his divine interventions. Spiritual receptivity begins with humility. You must recognize that your understanding is limited and that God knows what is best for you in every situation. The proud heart, the stubborn heart, or the impatient heart struggles to receive because it insists on doing things its own. But when you humble yourself before God, you create space for his spirit to move. Humility opens the door for divine instruction, guidance, and favor. It allows you to hear his voice clearly, recognize his promptings, and align your steps with his perfect will. A heart that is willing to learn, adjust, and follow God's lead is a heart that is ready to receive abundance. Receptivity also requires attentiveness. Many people miss God's blessings because they are distracted by the noise of life, the opinions of others, or their own worries. Spiritual receptivity is the discipline of focusing on God, listening to his voice, and discerning his leading. It is the ability to recognize opportunity, guidance, or intervention when it comes in forms you may not have expected. Sometimes God speaks through subtle confirmations, sudden inspirations, or encounters with people. If your spirit is alert, sensitive, and attentive, you will not miss these divine appointments. Beloved, a receptive heart is also obedient. It is not enough to hear from God. You must act on what you hear. Spiritual receptivity requires responsiveness. When God calls you to move, to speak, to give, or to forgive, a receptive heart responds without hesitation. The blessing often comes not just in hearing, but in doing. Obedience creates alignment with heaven and positions you to receive God's favor in ways that are immediate, supernatural, and transformative. God's blessings are activated when your faith meets a shision, and a receptive heart is willing to step forward, even when it does not fully understand the path. Another vital aspect of spiritual receptivity is the cultivation of a listening spirit. The world is loud, filled with opinions, distractions, and conflicting voices. A receptive spirit is disciplined to tune into God's voice above all else. It values his guidance more than human advice, more than circumstances, and more than fleeting emotions. When your spirit listens carefully, you can recognize the subtle instructions of the Holy Spirit, the moments of divine favor, and the opportunities that God has prepared. Spiritual receptivity is the art of discernment, the ability to separate the ordinary from the divine, the temporary from the eternal, and the fleeting from the purposeful. Gratitude and worship also enhance spiritual receptivity. A heart that continually praises, gives thanks and celebrates God's goodness is naturally tuned to receive more. Gratitude positions you to notice blessings, to recognize opportunities, and to embrace interventions that may otherwise go unnoticed. When you worship, your spirit is aligned with heaven, your faith is strengthened, and your sensitivity to God's movement is heightened. A receptive spirit is one that is both expectant and thankful, fully aware that God's goodness is surrounding it at all times. Beloved, spiritual receptivity also requires intentional preparation. Just as a vessel must be clean to hold water, your heart must be prepared to hold God's blessings. Remove resentment, unforgiveness, and doubt. Align your thoughts with His promises. Guard your mind against negativity, fear, and discouragement. The more you prepare your spirit, the more you position yourself to receive the fullness of God's provision. Favor, miracles, guidance, and unexpected blessings cannot enter a heart that is closed, distracted, or resistant. Today, I want to declare over your life that your heart, mind, and spirit will become highly receptive to God's move. You will hear His voice clearly, recognize His signs, and respond with obedience. You will not miss the divine appointments He has prepared for you. You will receive insight, direction, favor, and breakthrough in ways that surpass human understanding. Your spiritual senses will be sharpened, your discernment heightened, and your faith aligned with God's plan. Beloved, when you cultivate receptivity, you step into a realm where the supernatural becomes natural, the invisible becomes visible, and God's blessings flow without obstruction. Lift your heart and say, Lord, I open my heart fully to you. I receive your guidance, your blessings, and your favor. Make me attentive, obedient, humble, and ready to embrace everything you have prepared for me. Help me to hear your voice above all else and to respond faithfully. I am ready to receive, and I welcome your supernatural move in my life today. Beloved, when you live in spiritual receptivity, your life becomes a magnet for divine blessings, and the surprises of heaven will manifest in your favor beyond imagination. Beloved, today I want to speak to you about transformation through blessings. Blessings from God are not merely gifts to be enjoyed or possessions to be counted. They are divine instruments designed to change you, shape you, and elevate you into the fullness of your purpose. Every blessing that comes from heaven carries with it the power to transform your life, not just externally, but internally, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. When God blesses you, He is not only providing for your needs, He is preparing you for greater responsibility, deeper intimacy with Him, and a life that reflects His glory. Many people seek blessings for comfort, ease, or security, but the true purpose of God's favor is transformation. A blessing is never just about addition, it is about multiplication. Multiplication of influence, wisdom, faith, and character. When you receive a blessing, it is intended to shape your heart, refine your priorities, and expand your vision. Blessings are not passive events. They are active forces that move you toward God's intended destiny for your life. The way you handle the blessing determines whether it will elevate you or simply satisfy a temporary desire. Transformation through blessings begins with a change of perspective. A blessing is a spiritual mirror that reflects God's goodness, faithfulness, and power. It reminds you that your life is not in by limitation, lack, or struggle, but by divine favor. When you recognize this, your thinking begins to shift. You start to see challenges as opportunities, obstacles as stepping stones, and disappointments as temporary setups for breakthroughs. Your mindset is transformed from one of scarcity to abundance, from fear to faith, and from despair to hope. This transformation is the first step toward receiving even greater blessings, because the more your heart aligns with God, the more He can pour out His favor. Blessings also transform your relationships. God's favor in your life affects not only you, but also those around you. A transformed heart brings peace, wisdom, and understanding into interactions with others. It allows you to become a source of encouragement, inspiration, and provision. Those who are transformed by God's blessings carry His light into every space they enter, influencing lives, restoring hope, and creating opportunities for others to experience God's goodness. Transformation through blessing is never selfish. It spreads and multiplies in ways that glorify God. Financial, material, or career blessings are also designed to produce transformation. When God blesses you with resources, He is teaching stewardship, generosity, and responsibility. These blessings test your integrity, faith, and character. They create opportunities to trust God more deeply, to give more freely, and to serve more effectively. If the blessing is received with gratitude, humility, and purpose, it becomes a tool for growth, influence, and eternal impact. But if it is received with pride, entitlement, or selfishness, it can stagnate or even become a snare. Transformation through blessings requires wisdom and discernment, so that every gift becomes a stepping stone toward your higher calling. Spiritual transformation is the most profound effect of God's blessings. When blessings enter your life, they are meant to deepen your faith, heighten your sensitivity to God's voice, and expand your intimacy with Him. A blessing is not just for comfort or pleasure. It is an invitation to know God more deeply, to walk more closely with Him, and to reflect His nature in the world. Your character is refined through blessings. Your heart is softened. Your spirit is strengthened. Your faith is enlarged. The more you are transformed by God's favor, the more prepared you are for even greater assignments in His kingdom. Blessings also transform your destiny. Every favor, provision, or miracle that comes from God has the potential to redirect your path, open doors that were previously closed, and position you for divine appointments. Transformation through blessings ensures that when opportunities arise, you are not only ready, but fully equipped to embrace them. It is not enough to receive the blessing. You must allow it to shape you, influence you, and propel you toward the purpose God has designed for your life. Transformation guarantees that the blessing is multiple, IED, and that its impact is lasting, not temporary. Beloved, every blessing is an invitation to growth. The more you allow God's favor to mold your thoughts, actions, and spirit, the more you experience true transformation. This transformation is what makes a blessing powerful. It elevates your faith, strengthens your character, and aligns your life with God's will. It ensures that the blessing does not only meet your immediate needs, but also prepares you for the greater things God intends to do through you. Transformation is the evidence that God's favor is not just temporary, but eternal in its impact. Today, I declare over your life that every blessing you receive will bring transformation. Your mind will be renewed, your heart softened, your spirit strengthened, and your destiny aligned with God's purposes. Every gift, opportunity, or favor will elevate you, refine your character, and multiply your influence. You will not receive blessings in vain, and you will not remain unchanged. The favor of God will transform you into the person He designed you to be, and in doing so, it will overflow into the lives of others, creating a ripple of miracles, impact, and testimony. Lift your heart and declare, Lord, I receive your blessings. I allow every favor, provision, and opportunity to transform me completely. Change my heart, renew my mind, and prepare me for the destiny you have planned. May your blessings in my life bring multiplication, influence, and transformation. That glorify your name. I am ready to be fully transformed by your goodness today. Beloved, when you embrace transformation through blessings, your life will never be the same, and the supernatural favor of God will continue to elevate you beyond imagination. Beloved, today I want to speak to you about the joy of sudden breakthroughs. There is a supernatural delight that comes when God moves unexpectedly in your life, when problems that have lingered for years are removed in a moment, and when blessings arrive in ways you never imagined. These sudden breakthroughs are not random. They are divine appointments, orchestrated by the hand of God, designed to shift your life, magnify your faith, and display His glory. They are the moments when heaven intersects with your earthly circumstances, and everything that seemed impossible becomes possible in an instant. Many believers live for years in frustration, waiting for their prayers to be answered, longing for favor or hoping for change, yet they fail to realize that God's breakthrough often comes suddenly in His perfect timing. What seems delayed is often meticulously prepared in heaven. God's timing is precise. His ways are higher than our ways, and His methods are beyond human comprehension. The joy of sudden breakthrough is not just in the result, it is in the realization that God is faithful, that His promises are true, and that He has been working behind the scenes even when we could not see it. Breakthroughs are often preceded by seasons of waiting, struggle, and persistence. They are preceded by prayers that seemed unanswered, efforts that appeared fruitless, and doors that remained closed. Yet, when the breakthrough comes, all the waiting is vindicated. Every tear, every groan, every moment of faithfulness suddenly produces results that surpass expectation. It is the joy that comes from seeing God's hand move in ways that human reasoning cannot explain. It is the celebration that erupts when the impossible becomes reality, when the stagnant springs to life, and when favor, provision, or restoration is suddenly realized. The joy of sudden breakthrough is not only emotional, it is transformational. When God intervenes in an unexpected way, it changes your perspective. It deepens your faith, strengthens your hope, and enlarges your expectation for future miracles. You begin to understand that no situation is too difficult, no delay is too long, and no problem is beyond God's power. Every sudden breakthrough serves as a testimony of His faithfulness and a reminder that He works in ways that surpass human understanding. Your life becomes a living proof that God can turn impossibilities into realities with a single touch. Sudden breakthroughs also inspire gratitude and worship. When God moves in ways we did not anticipate, it awakens our hearts to the reality of His greatness. Gratitude floods the spirit, and praise becomes inevitable. The joy of sudden breakthrough is amplified when it is met with the heart that recognizes God's sovereignty. It is not just about receiving the blessing, it is about acknowledging the giver. The joy is sweeter, deeper, and more lasting when it is accompanied by thankfulness, because every breakthrough becomes a moment of intimate connection with God, a celebration of His goodness, and a recognition of His unmatched power. Beloved, sudden breakthroughs are designed to lift your spirit above despair. They bring relief to the weary, hope to the discouraged, and strength to the faint. The moment your breakthrough manifests, the atmosphere around you changes. What was heavy becomes light. What was stagnant begins to move. And what was impossible suddenly becomes evident. This is the joy that floods your soul, the kind of joy that sustains you, motivates you, and propels you forward in faith. It is the supernatural delight of seeing God intervene directly in your life, beyond your planning, beyond your effort, and beyond your imagination. Sudden breakthroughs are also testimony to those around you. When God moves in your life, it inspires faith in others. People witness the miraculous, hear your story, and are encouraged to trust in God's power. Your joy becomes contagious, and your life becomes a platform for demonstrating that God is real, that He intervenes, and that He is faithful to those who trust Him. Every sudden breakthrough is a moment to glorify God, to lift His name, and to share the testimony that God's timing and His power are unmatched. Beloved, it is important to understand that sudden breakthroughs require readiness and expectation. The breakthrough often comes when your heart is prepared, when your faith is active, and when your spirit is aligned with God's will. You must expect the unexpected, anticipate the miraculous, and be prepared to receive with thanksgiving and humility. Breakthroughs are not only for those who hope, they are for those who believe, persist, and remain faithful. Your readiness positions you to receive the joy that accompanies sudden divine intervention. Today, I declare over your life that sudden breakthroughs will manifest in every area where you have been waiting. Obstacles will fall, limitations will be removed, doors will open, and favor will flow in ways that astonish you. The joy of these breakthroughs will overflow into every part of your life, lifting your spirit, restoring your hope, and igniting a new level of faith. Every prayer that seemed unanswered will find its answer. Every struggle that seemed endless will be reversed. Every situation that seemed impossible will suddenly give way to victory. Lift your heart and declare, Lord, I receive my sudden breakthrough. I expect your intervention, your favor, and your miracles. I rejoice in advance for what you are about to do. Let your glory be revealed in my life, and may your blessings overflow in ways beyond my imagination. Thank you, Lord, for the joy of sudden breakthroughs that will transform my life today. Beloved, when you embrace the joy of sudden breakthroughs, your life enters a new season of supernatural favor, divine intervention, and unexpected, lasting victory. Beloved, today I want to speak to you about living in continuous expectation. This is not merely hoping or wishing for good things to happen. It is a deliberate daily choice to walk in faith, hope, and anticipation of God's miraculous move in your life. Living in continuous expectation means refusing to settle for delays, disappointments, or temporary setbacks. It is the posture of a heart that is convinced that God is faithful, that his promises never fail, and that every prayer, every effort, and every act of obedience will produce a divine response in his perfect timing. It is a lifestyle of expectancy where your faith is active, your hope is unwavering, and your spirit remains alert to the movement of heaven. Expectation is a powerful spiritual principle. The Bible tells us that faith without expectation is incomplete. When you live in expectation, you are declaring that God will act, that his timing is perfect, and that his power is unlimited. Expectation shifts your perspective from limitation to possibility. It transforms obstacles into opportunities, delays into preparation, and challenges into launching pads for supernatural breakthroughs. Living in continuous expectation keeps your heart aligned with God's promises and your mind focused on his faithfulness, creating an atmosphere where miracles are invited, favor is activated, and blessings flow without hindrance. To live in continuous expectation, you must cultivate patience and endurance. Life will present moments that test your faith, unanswered prayers, long seasons of waiting, and situations that seem impossible. Yet the believer who walks in expectation refuses to be discouraged. Every delay is an opportunity to strengthen your faith, to grow spiritually, and to deepen your relationship with God. Expectation does not ignore reality. It acknowledges it while remaining confident that God is greater than every obstacle. When you persist in expectation, you are prepared to receive the answer the moment it manifests, and your joy multiplies as your faith is rewarded. Expectation also requires attentiveness. God often works in ways we do not anticipate, through people, circumstances, or moments that seem ordinary. To live in continuous expectation, your spirit must remain alert to his leading. You must be sensitive to his voice, responsive to his direction, and ready to act when the moment of breakthrough comes. A heart that is tuned to God's movement recognizes opportunity, embraces guidance, and positions itself for favor. Expectation is not passive. It is active engagement with God's promises. a readiness to respond, and a willingness to move in obedience when His Spirit prompts you. Gratitude amplifies expectation. A thankful heart is a fertile ground for divine intervention. When you continually express gratitude for what God has already done, for the blessings you have received, and for the miracles yet to come, you create an atmosphere of faith and receptivity. Gratitude opens your eyes to evidence of God's faithfulness, strengthens your confidence in His promises, and fuels your anticipation for greater things. Living in expectation is not blind hope. It is rooted in the assurance that the God who has been faithful in the past will remain faithful in the present and future. Expectation also transforms your mindset. It shifts you from fear to faith, from doubt to confidence, and from despair to hope. It allows you to see possibilities where others see impossibilities. It prepares your spirit for divine encounters, supernatural provision, and sudden breakthroughs. Those who live in continuous expectation are not victims of circumstance. They are victors in faith. Their lives are characterized by hope. Their hearts overflow with joy, and their words carry the power to declare God's promises into existence. Expectation positions you to receive, to recognize, and to celebrate every move of God in your life. Living in continuous expectation requires discipline. You must guard your heart against discouragement, negativity, and the influence of others who do not share your faith. You must choose daily to focus on God's promises, to meditate on His word, and to cultivate a mindset that believes in the unseen. Expectation is a spiritual muscle that grows stronger the more it is exercised through prayer, worship, and obedience. It is a choice to remain steadfast, to keep hoping, and to continue believing even when circumstances seem contrary. Beloved, continuous expectation attracts the supernatural. Heaven responds to hearts that are ready, willing, and eager to receive God's intervention. When your spirit lives in expectation, blessings are not only prepared for you, but also manifest in ways that exceed your imagination. Favor is activated, doors of opportunity swing open, and miracles begin to unfold. Your expectation signals to heaven that you are ready, that your faith is alive, and that you are aligned with God's plan. Living in continuous expectation ensures that when God moves, you are not caught by surprise. You are ready to receive, celebrate, and walk boldly into the blessings He has prepared. Today, I declare over your life that you will live in continuous expectation. Your faith will be unwavering, your hope unshakable, and your spirit fully alert to the movement of God. Every prayer, every act of obedience, every moment of waiting, and every seed of faith you have sown will produce CEA, a supernatural response. You will recognize opportunities, embrace divine guidance, and celebrate breakthroughs that arrive suddenly and powerfully. The joy of expectation will fill your heart. Your life will overflow with favor, and your testimony will declare God's faithfulness to the world. Lift your heart and declare, Lord, I live in continuous expectation. I trust your promises. I believe your timing, and I anticipate your move in my life. I am ready for every blessing, favor, and miracle that you have prepared. My faith is alive, my hope is strong, and my spirit is alert to your voice. I receive it now in advance, and I rejoice in the manifestation of your goodness today. Beloved, when you live in continuous expectation, your life becomes a magnet for divine intervention, supernatural breakthroughs, and blessings beyond measure. Beloved, as we draw this message to a close, I want you to understand that God's surprises are not random. They are intentional, powerful, and life-transforming. The favor, breakthrough, and blessings He has prepared for you are beyond what you can imagine. Today is not just another day. It is a divine appointment, a moment in time where heaven intersects with your life and miracles can manifest suddenly, abundantly, and gloriously. Every step you have taken in faith, every prayer you have lifted, every act of obedience, and every tear shed has positioned you for this very moment. Remember, God's blessings are tied to preparation, gratitude, youth, persistence, receptivity, and expectation. The more you align your heart with his will, the more sensitive you become to his voice, and the more ready you are to receive, the greater the impact of his favor. The breakthrough you have been waiting for, the provision you have been longing for, and the joy that seemed delayed are all poised to enter your life. Do not be passive. Walk boldly into the blessings God has prepared. I declare over your life that today heaven will move on your behalf. Surprise favor, unexpected opportunities, and divine interventions will come. Your heart will rejoice, your spirit will soar, and your life will testify of God's faithfulness. Receive it with gratitude, embrace it with humility, and celebrate it with joy. Today is your day of divine surprises, and God's blessings are yours in abundance.